Dead, dead, dead. Someday you'll be dead. The minute we're born, we start dying. We die a little more each day. Young or old, rich or poor, there's nothing we can do to stop it. So look long at that Christmas tree. It may be the last one that you see. Decorate your house in green and red, because someday you'll be dead.
Hey guys, happy Halloween and welcome to my review for Chapter 1 of Platinum End.
So I just read all of Platinum End. So I just finished reading all of Platinum End. So I just read all of Platinum End. Platinum End is a philosophical drama that was written by Tsugumi Ohba, drawn by Takeshi Obata, and it was serialized in Jump Square from 2015 to 2021. If you're a longtime viewer, you know I have quite the history with this one, and I can't believe it's finally time to take a look at it. So one day God has had enough, okay? He's sick of being God. So he gathers his 13 angels together and he's like, alright guys, I'm quitting, I'm retiring, I'm gonna go die. So I need you guys to go down to Earth and find new candidates to be God. We'll have a nice competition, we can all judge them. They'll span 999 days, and after the deadline, whoever is the most fit to be God can take my place. So what type of people are we looking for? Well, the people who want to change the world the most. Specifically people who have given up the will to live because of how the world is. So I'm gonna need you angels to show up, give them some cool powers, show them what they can do, and then we'll go from there. So all the angels go down to Tokyo to pick candidates, because of course Tokyo has a high suicide rate. And off we go. One of them is our protagonist, Mirai. Mirai is a 15-year-old high school student who's decided he has had enough, and the series begins with him jumping off a building. Before he hits the ground, however, he is saved by Nase, one of the angels, who explains to him how it all works. Nase, wanting Mirai to quickly realize that there's still meaning in his life, grants him with the powers of the angels, those being the wings, which allow him to fly and travel faster than the speed of light, the red arrows, who he can pierce people with and they will instantly fall in love with him for 33 days, and the white arrows, which can instantly kill people. Of course, along with Mirai, 12 other people are chosen to be God. One of them just happens to be in this country of millions and millions of people, his crush, Saki. And you see, the two of them are generally good people. They don't really care about being God or using their powers to exploit people unless they have to. But the same can't be said for some of the others. The main one, of course, being Metropoliman. Metropoliman decides that the quickest way to become God is to not wait out the 1,000 days. It is to, of course, murder all of the other God candidates. So he creates this persona to himself, reveals himself to the public as a superhero, and makes it his goal to lure out and defeat all of the other God candidates. Of course, using the power of the red arrows to make people fall in love with him so he can control people, and using the white arrows to defeat his enemies. When Mirai and Saki catch on to this, they're like, alright, you know, we don't care about being God, but it would probably be pretty shit if this guy became God, so let's take him down. And there's Platinum End, everyone. Hey, a deathmatch to become God, where all of the candidates are crazy and have special powers. Oh no! Yeah, this is like a shameless ripoff of Future Diary. I don't particularly care though, because Future Diary is pretty garbage, and if you want to use like a similar concept to make a better series, I'm all for it. And while Platinum End is better than Future Diary, we're going to talk about the first half first, because this is one of those series where there's like a massive shift in the middle, and it feels like a completely different series afterwards. So the first half of this is a pure, by the definition, action thriller. Saki and Mirai team up with another God candidate who is dying of cancer, whose goal is to also make sure that Metropoliman does not become God. Metropoliman gains a bunch of allies through using the red arrows, or just people who generally idolize him, including other God candidates. And there we go. We just go at it. This is a mess. Getting the positives out of the way first, I think the coolest thing about Platinum Man's story really is this power system. Much like another series from this duo, Death Note, you know, these powers do have a lot of rules that you have to adhere to. Like the red arrows, you can take control of someone to an extent, you know, you can't make them do crazy things like kill other people, unless they truly want to. The white arrows are like a way to just instantly kill someone painlessly. The arrows can hit through like walls, they'll absolutely never miss, and the only way to avoid them is of course to, you know, fly away with your angel wings. And the way they use these powers, they manipulate them, they stretch, you know, the rules. It can all be really, really cool. The problem though is that the story it's attached to is not all that interesting. Right from the bat, you can tell it's a complete edge fest. There's a lot of things here that are just going for shock value. This is like a how do you do fellow kids moment from Oba. It feels like he's going through a midlife crisis. A lot of conflicts and characters are introduced to only be thrown away immediately. It thinks it's way more clever than it actually is, trying really hard to be, you know, Death Note but an action series. And while the action is for the most part well done, it can be really hard to care because it's hard to get invested in Platinum End. Aside from just a few plot points, I never really cared much for what was happening. And there's so many weird things that just don't really make sense. Like, for example, the cancer patient guy. He goes and stabs some, you know, higher up government officials with red arrows and gets them access to, you know, full body armor. And this is body armor that is super advanced. It hasn't been mass produced yet, you know, straight out of the tech lab. Okay, fine. I can definitely buy that. But what I can't buy is why the female suit for Saki, this 15-year-old girl, is a busty cat suit. There's this evil character who shows up with a virus that can kill things like instantly. It's so out of nowhere and so insane, and it's just dealt with in a single chapter. It was wild. There's a kid with a Donald Trump mask who is built up to be this, you know, crazy new character and ends up doing absolutely nothing. There's this insane, like, Deus Ex Machina involving one of the angels crying for the first time. That was, like, the cringiest shit I've ever read. There's also a lot of uncomfortable sexualization here. Like, as far as I'm concerned, these people using the red arrows to, you know, get women and sex and stuff is pretty rapey. Now, the series obviously doesn't show this as a good thing. All the people who do this are villains, but it is still very uncomfortable to see, especially when a lot of the instances we do see happen with minors, and, you know, that stuff paired with this author comment I found from Obata, just all around some kind of suspicious content. I think if you can just see this as mindless popcorn entertainment, you can definitely find some enjoyment in this section of the series. At some points, you know, I'll admit I was like, alright, fuck it, you know, I'm along for this ride, who cares, let's see what they do. And there are a few satisfying moments throughout the series that almost made me happy that I checked it out. Then you get to the second half. Remember when I called this a philosophical drama? So, the god that they are all fighting to become, his existence comes into question. A lot of characters are like, hold on now. How do we even know this guy is legit? We've never met him. Is he really, like, the god we know? The one that's supposed to have created humanity? That doesn't make any sense because evolution. Is the god we are fighting to become just some entity with an insane amount of power? Are the angels really demons? Is Santa even real? Well, guys, what if Santa isn't real? All of the major conflicts from the first half are, you know, mostly wrapped up or swept under the rug, and the main conflict now is just philosophical arguing. And honestly, for me, it wasn't enjoyable in the slightest. Like, all of this discussion, like, it's so bland and by the numbers, you know, baby's first philosophical argument. I didn't care about anything that was being said, all these themes that they're pushing. Like, at first it seems like they're going in an interesting direction. The scope of the conflict changes completely. They introduce, you know, Kim Jong-un. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this. They don't really do anything with it. Every new plot point, every new character, it just feels like it's adding nothing to the series. And the best part about it, the action, and, you know, all these rules with the arrows and the wings and all this nonsense. We pretty much see the extent of that in the first half. There's not really much else they can do with these powers and these battles. So even though they are cut down significantly in the second half, the ones we do get feel a lot more boring and a whole lot less suspenseful. It honestly made me appreciate the first half a lot more, which I never expected to do. I really wish the series had just stayed a fun, mindless action thriller, and not whatever the hell we got. At the end of the day, there was nothing absolutely horrible about it. Nothing offended me with how bad it was. It was just very, very mediocre. Until The ending. The platinum ending, if you will. I have read a lot of manga now, so please believe me when I say the platinum end has the most baffling ending to a manga I have ever read. Everything in this series, everything that happens, becomes completely meaningless by the end. There are absolutely zero consequences to anything. I was shocked. It's okay when Dragon Ball does it, because Dragon Ball is stupid. But this is a series that takes itself super seriously, guys. We're the cool, edgy, hip kids. You know, we got a lot of stuff to say about the nature of the universe. So when they pull this shit at the end, it just feels like such a cop-out, such an easy way out. They could have actually taken what they had to do something interesting with the ending, but they really didn't. And in order to discuss further, I really am going to have to go into spoilers, because it's like I still cannot get over how this ends. So if you do care about spoilers, skip to this part in the video. And yeah, let's get into this. So it ends with, you know, they have a bit of a standoff. They have a conflict with the professor, who, you know, wants to just have them all die. Like, why even bother? No one should be God, whatever. But then they almost kill him. He changes his mind right away, and they're like, all right, let's let the 12-year-old become God. So, you know, the edgy, emo 12-year-old who's been talking about killing himself the whole series gets to become God. And then, of course, he erases everyone's memories. Now, at this point in the series, the whole world found out about these guys. And I thought that was one of the most interesting elements of the second half. Just seeing how other countries and governments and religions reacted to this news that, oh my god, God is real and these people are fighting over who gets to become him. I didn't think they ever really got far enough with this concept for it to be super interesting, but I was really excited to see how they would wrap it up. And like I said, it's just a cop-out. They wrap it up with none of it mattering at all. So I thought that was pretty terrible, and that would just be it. Then we get a happy ending. We see Mirai and Saki getting married, the professor's continuing his research, and he finally, like, has meaning in his life. Everything's all cool. I had a week left until the final chapter. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's see how they wrap this up. You know, like stories like The Ugly Barnacle, where it's just everyone dies, the end. And it's hilarious because no story would ever actually end that way. At least, you know, a story where, you know, the whole point of it was, you know, people trying to find meaning in their lives, trying to find happiness. But no, that's quite literally how this series ends. The 12-year-old God, he decides that he has had enough anyway, because no matter what he does as God, bad things will always still happen on Earth. So he decides to kill himself with his own white arrow, which in turn wipes out all of humanity. And that's how the series ends. What the fuck? Is Oba okay? Can someone please check on him? I'm genuinely concerned. This was the most doomer bullshit thing I've ever read. We spend all this time building up with these themes, all the value of human life, finding happiness and meaning in your life. The characters are finally happy at the end. What they've wanted this whole time. And then we just end all life. And the final monologue given by a nameless narrator is just like, life is meaningless, we're all gonna die, eat shit. I can't believe they did that. Like, that's just an insane direction for the final chapter. I cannot wrap my head around it at all. It does not work on any level for me, and it devalues pretty much the entire series. I feel like Oba was just sick of it, and he's like, fuck it, I'm done, everyone dies. So I've been pretty hard on this series, not gonna lie. And while I do think the ending is the worst aspect of it, there's another huge component that brings it down quite a bit. Those being the characters. Oh my god. Mirai is probably the blandest main character I've ever seen in a manga. I'm serious. This guy was weak. And the same can really be said about most of these characters. They're so one-dimensional. They only have like one thing you remember about him. Mirai, he's good. He's kind-hearted. That's it. There's literally nothing else to this character. He is so ungodly boring. He goes through almost no development at all, and the small development he does have doesn't really make sense. It kind of seems like a switch just turned and he like instantly changes his mind about like this massive thing. Saki is basically Mirai but female. Now, Oba has never been great. Even in his good series, he's never been great at writing female characters. And that's again on full display here. She is completely bland. Her only point at times seems to be a love interest for Mirai or for fan service. The angels, their sidekicks, because, you know, each god candidate has an angel sidekick, they're all either forgettable or just really annoying. And as for all the other god candidates, they're either as bland and one note as Mirai and Saki, or they just feel like fodder. Characters who show up only to be done away with for shock value. This happens so often throughout the series that I don't really understand any other reason for having so many god candidates other than just having shock value and we all get rid of them. The only one who I think was kind of interesting was the cancer patient. Obviously I can't remember his name, so that's a good sign. But I thought that his motivation, wanting to kill Metropoliman so his family can live in a world where this guy doesn't become god, how he like hides how bad his cancer is to his family so he can continue working towards this goal, I thought it was pretty interesting and endearing. And while nothing amazing about this character, I do think he was the highlight of the series. And Metropoliman, while, you know, also being as shallow as a puddle, I'll admit I did get a good kick about him, you know, scheming and, you know, just being super evil. His backstory and origin is completely ridiculous, and I thought it was, you know, mildly entertaining to see. But, you know, after, like I said, after the first arc and we get into some, you know, wacky existential stuff, the boring characters really didn't help anything that was going on. And I am honestly quite shocked because Tsugumi Ohba has written some great characters in the past. I mean, Light Yagami is one of the most iconic manga characters ever. If it weren't for like the similar elements between this series and Death Note, I honestly would not have guessed he wrote this at all. So yeah, really, really weak cast of characters. If these characters were good, I think the, you know, the story, while heavily flawed, would have been a lot more enjoyable. But man, these guys kill it. Good lord. So finally, it's time to talk about the art, which is absolutely the highlight of Platinum End. As dumb as the story gets, as bad as the characters are, you can always count on Takeshi Obata to bring some amazing artwork into these chapters. This guy is a veteran. He's been drawing manga forever, and this art is like the peak of his evolution. It is extremely detailed, extremely expressive, very, very beautiful, and it's honestly kind of annoying that it's in this series and not something that's actually good. I don't think everything about it is perfect. I mean, Takeshi Obata isn't really known for his great action, and while a lot of the action in this manga, like I've mentioned before, is really good, really well drawn, there are some moments where I do have a bit of trouble figuring out what's going on, just from like the nature of these fights with people traveling at the speed of light and shooting arrows all over the place. It can get a bit chaotic, but overall, very, very good. I also have to criticize the character designs a little bit. Along with being such bland characters on their own, like the way they look doesn't really help. I find, you know, people like Mirai and Saki to not be that memorable. They look like very bland anime characters. I mean, like, you look at Light or Mashiro, like, I think those are very, very good character designs, but there's just something about Mirai that kind of makes him feel like a mixture and discount of both. That's not true for all the characters. I mean, some of them do look pretty cool, and I'll definitely remember how they look. But yeah, I think a lot of them, there just wasn't like a huge creative spark when it came to designing them. And then there's, you know, stuff like Saki's suit. Like, come on. Why does it have a tail, okay? Like, yeah, sure, the ear things come down and make like a visor, which has a computer in it and stuff, but why the tail? But yeah, overall, this is a gorgeous manga, and, you know, if people only read this for the art, I really don't blame them at all, because it's very pretty. And that brings me to the end of this review. Been a long time coming, man. I've been, keeping up with this series for quite a while. I mean, you know, I took like a few years break just now, but but seeing how it all ended up, all I can say is I'm pretty disappointed, man. This is a duo that has struck a gold twice in the past, and this seemed like it was supposed to be their magnum opus. But after a few chapters, I mean, it became clear that this was not going to come close to Death Note or Bakuman, and even when they could have saved it to become, you know, a mildly enjoying thriller, they kind of just threw it out the window in favor of some philosophical bullshit that no one's going to care about. It looks pretty, but is dumb. I don't like it. I was honestly going to go like middle of the road with this one, because like I've said before, nothing was really offensively bad, but then the ending happened, and honestly, the ending is so bad, so like off-putting, 3 out of 10. Obata, you might want to find a new writer. Not saying Oba, like, you know, isn't capable of writing another good story, but, you know, it is really a shame seeing this guy's gorgeous art on a story this whack. Anyway, if you're still interested in checking out Platinum End, Viz is releasing these single volumes. I believe 11 out of 14 are out right now. Also, if you are subscribed to Shonen Jump, you can read the whole series on their website, not on the app. I realize that there's a lot of series only available on the website, which is kind of weird, but yeah, anyway, you can read it there. That's where I read it. And there is an anime coming out in the fall. I'm actually really interested to see the reception to this. What I predict is going to happen is that if the production is really good, people will really like the first half, just because of how crazy the action is. And, you know, people eat up that stuff. But I have a feeling a lot of people are going to jump ship in the second half. I'm interested to see what's going to go there. But, you know, if people end up really liking it, all the power to them, I suppose. I know the series does have some fans. For alternate recommendations, well, Death Note, it's by the same duo, and it's significantly better in every way. I think that it does falter a bit in the second half, not nearly to the extent of this, though. But yeah, overall, it's a classic. You can't go wrong with it. And you know what? We'll throw in Bakuman, too. That's also great. Just basically anything this duo has done that's not Platinum End. There you go. Thank you all so much for watching. You can leave your thoughts on this review and this series in the comments below. And I will see you guys. Yeah, okay, we're doing We Never Learn next. I'm very excited to keep postponing it, but I think we have to face our demons now. So yeah, there you go.